Hello, how are you? It's late, but I'm here trying to finish up so much work. I'm trying not to go into the next day without work. As you know, I'm on a crazy sleep schedule, but I'm here Saturday. So this is my work that I do for the support group on my Patreon page. Uh, I'm still always thinking about getting a separate just web page for the consciousness center itself. We'll see. Um, we'll see. Today we're going to talk about. Before I do that, I went to Trader Joe's, took the train, went into a white neighborhood, and I'm used to either getting two kinds of stares, looks from white people. Either, what is he doing here? Is he trying to do something that's suspicious? I'm scared of you, look. Or they ignore me altogether. But today, the looks, it's like, what is he doing here? Like, why is he existing? Why is he in this space? Why? He don't live around here, so why? And it's a big neighborhood, a big train stop, I could have been coming through the neighborhood and just wanted to stop off. I could have been visiting somebody. Well, they figured, well, he ain't visiting nobody because it's mostly us and we don't think he even should be here. So I say that to say ethnic tensions are like I've never seen them because they really are showing that they can't stand us and we're showing that we can't stand them. That's not a universal thing, but it's more than I've ever seen. 52 years, and we're supposed to be beyond this stuff. But so let's get on to some of the false concepts that are destroying things. And some of these might have to do with some of that other stuff, why the tensions are so high. It's a lot of false concepts, a lot of craziness. So these are not all of the false concepts that are destroying things, but these are some of the main ones that I'm always thinking about, and you let me know what you're thinking about. And these are false sayings, and thinking about these has made me think of creating another periodical called "Say What." Speak Insanity, where I take some of these sayings and take some of what things are said and present it. Maybe I'll present it in poem form. I've been doing a lot of poems. Poems are good therapy for me. So the first one I have on my list, there's no necessary order of importance. The world don't owe you anything. People just say, oh, the world don't owe you anything. The world don't owe you nothing. I always thought that. But doesn't it? And then I tell people, well, if the world doesn't owe you anything, it doesn't owe anybody anything, why don't you just have babies and leave them on the curb? You know, usually that stumps everybody. Because human beings are one of the only animals or creatures or beings on this planet that the babies are actually completely helpless. And you have to nurture them for long periods. You know what I mean? For very long periods in order for them to live. So, your parents had sex, they created you, your mother carried you, hopefully your father or some other people pitched in to help her. So yeah, they I think they owe you something. Because none of us asked to be born. We live in what we call a complex society, meaning there's multiple systems and multiple institutions and all running at the same time, and we have big, large institutions. We're a large society, 320 million people. We have governmental institutions at federal, state, and local levels, 3 levels, and each level has multiple branches that are functioning with each other. You have transportation systems that are in every locality where you have a lot of single cars. You might have a place that has heavy transportation. Big cities usually have a subway systems and bus systems and um, car systems. You have highways, you have bridges, you have all these things. Sometimes you have lanes just for trucks, and so you have all these. This is what's called a complex society. And in a complex society, the social institutions and organizations owe the people something because the people make the institutions, and the institutions are supposed to work for the benefit of the people. You can't have a society where a big society like this where we're doing 320 million different things. It doesn't make any sense. So yes, the society owes you something. So that's one we got out of the way, that the world doesn't owe you something. Yes, it does. One of the things I really hate, well, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Hey, I leave my house, I pass by all these people. I have immigrants, I have people from different countries and all that. But all the black people are nodding out, drugs, sleeping in the park, whatever the case may be. And some of the Spanish people sleeping in the park. But I don't notice the other people sleeping in the park and sleeping in the... Well, that's the way it is. No, not that's the way it is. Something is causing this. Situations don't just appear. They happen. They're consequences of some policies, social, governmental, communal policies that have taken place over time. So no, it's not just the way it is. Something happened to make it that way. Jobs don't just fall out of the sky. Don't you love those people saying, you need to just go out there and find you a job? Oh yeah? All the corporations are laying people off because they're automating. Amazon just showed off their new robot that has hands and legs and can move packages from shelf to conveyor belt. Can't pack. I don't think they can pack boxes yet. Somebody said, well, yeah, but that thing moves slow. Yeah, but it doesn't get sick and it doesn't take bathroom breaks. It can work 24 hours a day. I say at some point you have to charge it. But if you get enough of them, you will have things working 24 hours a day where you don't have to pay a person. You just pay the bot. And I guess a tech to make sure the bots are working, somebody to watch to make sure they're doing their thing. So that's not just the way it is. The one black people say a lot, we good or we gonna be all right. And neither one is true. We're not good. We're not good. We good? No, we're not good. And anybody can look at us and tell we're not good. I'm about 30 pounds overweight. The obesity alone in our community. The mental illness alone in our community. The delusion alone. If we were actually clinically diagnosed properly, there's so much delusion in our community. But then again, this whole country's built on delusion. So you thought that you could just keep people enslaved forever. You can keep grinding down one people to benefit another people, and you're not going to have problems. But you always have problems, and you're going to be problems because it's natural to be free. Even people who are born into bondage 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 generations, they still, something ain't right. I should be free. So no, we ain't good. And we ain't going to be all right unless we do something to really make this society recognize us as full human beings. Okay, that's it. And we ain't good because we're the worst at we're on the top of every worst list and we're on the bottom of every best list. The one thing we did switch up, and I'm proud of young black women, is teen pregnancies have been down for a long time, for like over a decade, I think, or more. Because black teen pregnancy used to be the highest rate. Now it's not the highest rate. It's actually it's actually low in this country, or lower than it used to be. We're not at the top of the list. Oh, this one is really. We're kings and queens. Oh, treat your woman like a queen. Treat her like a king. Do you know what kings and queens are? They're dictators. They're people who make people bow to them just because. And you have to be born into royalty, right? You could be born into royalty. Sometimes you could take a crown if enough of the people will support you to be king. But we don't even have a community that's cohesive enough to vote on anything or decide on anything or anything like that. The closest you come is how we honor and look up to celebrities, but they're not kings and queens. They're just picked by oligarchs to guide us in certain directions and to entertain them. So that's not a king and queen. Those are jesters. Most black millionaires or billionaires are jesters for oligarchs. Think about it. They're all entertainers. Jay-Z, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey. We have some businessmen that are. There's a few. Few. I say one or two. Might be more now because there's more billionaires now. But there's some wealthy there might be some millionaire scientists, a few here, Neil deGrasse Tyson types and stuff like that. But for the most part, the bigger ones that black people actually follow and put their trust in and believe in, like kings and queens, are entertainers. Oprah, Jay-Z, Tyler Perry, Ye. Who else is up there? Nas is pretty wealthy. He's up there. He got his wealth though from rapping initially and then joining a hedge fund, which sold, I think, The Ring or something like that to another company. So he got a cut of that. So we're not kings and queens. We're people. And we're people in a society that sees us as either 3/5 human or 4/5 human. Very rarely will you find very rarely have I found a person who treats me like a complete human being, black or white. That's just our reality. So cut out this king and queen nonsense. And if you are a king and queen, whether you're a king and queen of a fractured, broken, beat down community, that's your kingdom and your queendom, stop it. Real adults do whatever they got to do to pay the bills. Hear this all the time. It's a weird thing because there's a lot of thing going on about toxic masculinity. But also women saying, well, I want a man that loves me enough to go out there and do what he got to do to help me with the bills and help me with the this and help me with the that. He knows but one thing about, you can have somebody who kills people and then but goes out, and one thing I got to say about him, he be murdering niggas on the street, but one thing I got to say about him is he come in and he drops off money with his baby mothers, and this is madness. This is madness. We should be fighting for a society where men and women can function in it and feed you, help you, because I agree that real men do help their women. I agree with that. But we should be fighting against the structures that stop us from doing it legally and in a healthy way. Instead, we just say, well, listen, you got to do whatever you got to do, man. I got to do whatever I got to do. And so when I say, okay, if you really believe that, then how can you criticize anything? How can you protest? So, well, Tim, what do you mean? What are you talking about now? Well, if doing whatever you have to do to get this money to help pay these bills or whatever it is justified, and I've talked about this before, then the police officer who shoots us down is doing what he's got bills to pay too. He has a family, probably in New York, probably a house in the suburbs somewhere. He's doing what he has to do. Mayor and Congress people who oligarchs tell, cut funding to this, cut funding to that, give funding to that. These oligarchs pay him. And make no mistake, politicians work for oligarchs, not us. This country was set up that way. This country was set up by oligarchs. The oligarchs were the politicians. Jefferson, Washington, John Adams, these were oligarchs. They were actually the first politicians. Over time, they put a layer between them and the masses, buffers, which are politicians. Politicians are clerks for oligarchs. And what you're doing in a society like this is what you want to do is put pressure on politicians to tell them, go to the oligarchs and tell them we want XYZ. See, I understand how this society works because I've studied it, the history of it, and the founding of it, and it's a plantation society. It's a new, large plantation. That's all America is. It's never changed. It's changed on the surface, it changed the way it looks, but the structure of it, the concept of it, this is why I try to tell people, created this support group, to be conceptual in our thinking so that we don't get confused. So those are just the ones that I have. If you have some, put yours down and we can talk about it. You can agree, disagree. I'm not going to argue or debate with you, though. I don't really have the time. But if you want to explain why you disagree, and don't say some people do this or some people do that or not all. When I'm talking about us, I'm talking about overwhelming majorities, because that's what you go by in a large society like this. You don't go by individual people. That's another sense of madness. You got 7 to 9 million black men in jail, prison, probation, or parole. Highest number of unemployed. Black man with a college degree is less likely to get hired than a white man with a high school diploma and a prison record. And that was a study last year that was done. They do these studies every year, and it comes back the same every year. That's the condition that we're living in. And then somebody will go find something where there's a black, an African-American male high school student gets accepted to every Ivy League school in the country. Okay, what that got to do with the 7 to 9 million that's on jail, probation? This is insane. See, he got accepted to every Ivy League school in the country, so that means all of them can do it. You see the madness in that kind of thinking? It's not even thinking, it's delusion. And getting accepted to colleges is not as difficult as you think. It really isn't. Now, getting in and staying in and tolerating all the racism you're going to get and all the hell you're going to go through, that's difficult. But even if one person can do that, even if 1,000 black men could do that, if you got 10 million black men and 1,000 go through, but 7 to 9 million is always teetering, have no stability. I'm not going to say some. I'm not going to say, well, 1 million did it, so the other 9 can do it. Well, that doesn't make any sense. If they could, they would. That many, whenever you see that many people doing something, no matter what ethnic group it is, you see that many people doing something, a lot of people like that, that's a thing. That's more than a trend. And something's causing that. Right? 35 million hardcore Trumpers. Militia people, got guns, got this, got that. Something's going on there. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. 35 million people. The small percentage of people own almost all of the guns. There's more guns in this society than people. 320 million people, there's more than 320 million guns, and a small percentage owns it. Okay, what's going on with that group? And why is everybody okay with them owning it? And why is everybody okay with them using those guns? Why is everybody okay with mass shootings? Are these people, do the people who don't really care for guns, are they looking at these militia people and saying someday we might have to use them as our lapdogs, so let's just let them do what they want? Because something's off. It's a mass shooting almost every week. Matter of fact, someone said that they just don't always report it. It's a whole nother story. So, again, you go by the majority or the overwhelming majority numbers. You don't go by what a few people did. Good for them. And trust me, I'm not saying that with any snark. Really good for them. Because if you can get through things and get through, and if you do get selected, fine. I have no problem with you. No judgment of you. Whatever you did, you had to do. But you don't judge the group by that. You don't say 60% of the country is living at or below the poverty line, so but we're a great country because 40% are. And that's even like a large number. 40% is a large number, but a society with 60% of your people living at or below poverty, and poverty line in the United States is $12,000 a year, just to let you know. So another weird thing while we're talking, I went on and on. Another falsity. I hear this all the time in New York. One time I had a couple of debates with people, and I just got tired. They don't know. Old white lady said, I said, well, the universal basic income, everybody gets $1,000 a month. This was years ago. Oh, you're just gonna pay people to do nothing? I don't think that's gonna work. I said, but miss, you pay for things all the time. You know what I mean? For instance, New York City pays anywhere from $1,500 a month to $4,000 a month for homeless men, women, and children to sleep on cots. So you go up to people, you say, hey man, maybe we should just give poor people $1,400 a month, and close all the rest of that stuff down. No, you just can't give people money, then they're gonna take drugs, they're gonna do. But you're paying. I was living in a shelter with another dude. They were paying $3,600 a month for my cot, $3,600 for his cot, and we were in one room. When you could have just gave me $1,400 a month, and I could have found a place. And then push come to shove, stayed at an Airbnb for $1,000 a month. You would have got rid of your homeless problem, and you would have been spending at least on the low end, you would have been saving $200 a month. On the high end, well, in my case, you would have been saving $1,800. What would it have been? If you give me $1,400, you'd have been saving about $2,000. Because if it was 36, take away 14, yeah, $2,200. You've been saving $2,200 a month. See, people don't know. People say things and they don't understand. There's a lot of false concepts going on. People get things for free all the time. It's just the money switches hands in a governmental way. You pay for programs. It's what people call bureaucracies. That's why Republicans are always saying we need to cut spending on entitlements. Entitlements, that's entitlements. But the problem is they don't want to give you nothing in return. So Andrew Yang was like, well, why don't you just give a universal basic income? That way all these people being displaced from jobs and all these other things like that, you won't have to deal with evictions and housing courts and sheriffs coming to throw people's stuff on the street. And then you got to deal with sanitation, taking people's stuff out. People living in tent cities, then sanitation got to come and destroy the tent cities. And then the people scatter. And then they leave garbage around and junk around because they live in the street. That costs more money. And Andrew Yang was like, just give everybody a UBI. And people say, well, UBI can't make up for welfare, but a UBI, you still would have to keep a but we should have universal health care anyway. Universal health care and a UBI will give everybody a floor. And you could end homelessness overnight. Because anyone who's not responsible enough with their UBI, now you can what you would have is adult living centers who would take their UBI. They will pop up overnight, trust me. Oh, we got a place for so and so. We got a place for them. Get their name, get their thing. So and so is staying here. The UBI comes to the institution. Watch how independent people become. Well, actually, some people might just be like, yeah, just let them run my life, you know. But things would pop up all over the place. Every city, every town, adult living centers will pop up. So you can end homelessness overnight. So I know you can. I know they can end it. This government creates problems, but that's a whole nother time, another topic for another support group. We might have talked about that, how society creates problems. But yeah, these are some of the false concepts. I've rambled on a little bit too much. I'm gonna have to start writing my stuff out so I can keep these support group things very tight. I've been going back and forth on whether I should do it. I'm gonna have to start doing it because it's getting out of hand. 30-minute videos. I don't want to make 30-minute videos. Anyway, support the podcast. Hit the links. Until next time, take care of yourselves and be safe. It's getting really rough. So please, I really mean when I say take care of yourself and be safe. I really mean it from the bottom of my heart.